Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is a very unusual time for me to go live. I don't think I have ever gone live quite this early in the day. This is new for me. It's weird. I hope it's not too weird for you. Welcome, welcome. I just spent a few days with my friend Jennifer McGuire and also with Kathy Rakusin, who I had not seen. Well, I saw her briefly at a wedding in July, but I hadn't seen her for an extended period of time for quite some time. So that was a lot of fun. We had such a fun weekend. It was very chill. We just hung out at Kathy's house and she taught us how to play Mahjong. Have any of you ever played Mahjong? This was American Mahjong. I am deep into the Mahjong rabbit hole now. Learning all the things. Anyway, if you have played American Mahjong, let me know in the chat because I think I found 3 people who live near me who are willing to learn, and we will all learn together. We might even have to go find an instructor. It's one of those games that has depth to it. There's lots and lots and lots to learn about it. And I think I'm on the cusp of like getting it, you know? So anyway, hello to everyone over there in the chat. I see so many familiar faces or names, I should say, but some I don't recognize as well. So maybe we'll have some new faces here. So Jay, what have you played the version where you're matching the tiles, or have you played the version where it's like you're dealt like 13 tiles and you have to put them in a certain order and get like a certain set of like a certain sequence? Which one have you played? I ask because I texted my sister and I said, have you ever played Mahjong? And she's like, oh yeah, I love it. Played it for years. I was like, oh, this is so great. She could teach me. And then it turns out she plays the matching version. So it's different. And so she's like, oh, well, I'll learn to play the other version too. So she's one of my 4, or, you know, I'm 3 because I'm the 4th. But so she's on board with that. Yeah, I mean, all the pretty tiles. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Who knows? I've already bought myself a little travel set to how to practice and learn with, because the big sets can be expensive. We'll see. Only the matching. Yes. Yeah, there's a little bit of a confusion there. Like, is it like the 4-player, I don't know what to call it. The 4-player, like, it's a little bit like Rummy, but not really. Yeah. It's kind of like that. And it's hard to learn on your own, like on an app or on a computer. Like you really need to be taught by someone else. It's interesting. Okay. Angela is asking, I'm at work, but I want to ask, when does your Christmas card series begin? I haven't tuned in for so long. Well, welcome back. The holiday card series will be starting right before Christmas. Hold on. I can give you an exact date. I have it in my calendar, but I have yet to, like, I keep thinking, oh, that's weeks away. I don't need to think about that yet. So I haven't, let me see here. It starts October 24th. So it actually starts exactly a week before Halloween. So that's going to be here before we know it, right? That's going to be so quick here. Okay. Debbie says, do we need to learn the names of the tiles? You do, and you sort of don't. You kind of do. There are 3 suits, kind of like on playing cards, there's 4 suits, like spades, hearts, diamonds, and I might not remember the other one. You know what I'm talking about. There's different suits. And that's how it is with Mahjong tiles as well. They have like families, and then they're numbered within the family. It's very similar to like playing cards in that way. And then there are a couple of other like special categories that you have to learn as well. We will get into it. This is not a Mahjong lesson. And me as a beginner probably shouldn't be teaching it. So anyway. Oh, Meredith is a certified teacher. Maybe I should be like, let's get on Zoom. I need you to teach me. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I think I know all of the rules. I just need to play a whole lot more to put it into practice so that I don't like unknowingly make break the rules and all that. So it's interesting. Yes, on my Mahjong, yes. Meredith, I have looked into that. Looks like there's a group, probably, not super near me, but within driving distance that I could go and learn. So, yep, Winds and Flowers. Yep, that's the one. Okay. Yep, all of you are coming into the chat, reminding me what all the other categories are. Love it. Yes, Mahjong does seem harder, or it looks harder than it. Yeah, anyway, it's not as bad. All right, well, let's get into the crafting. We've been just like chatting here for a little bit. So today for my live, I thought I would break out a product from my September release. We're going to play with the Winter Greenery background bundle. And there's a few different ways that you can add color to it. Let's switch to the overhead. And then I'm going to have a poll because I want your opinion on how I should use it today. So this is the actual background. Let me get this out. This is the background. It's a background stamp. It's all one big piece with poinsettias and greenery and berries and all the things. And then there is a layered stencil set that helps you color in all of the images. You can use it with paste or ink or lots of other different things to color the background. And there's also a set of dies. And this die is a little bit different because really the only thing in the die set that matches the background is it will cut out this outer edge. Do you see this right here? It'll cut this outer edge. And then because there was so much space in the middle, I filled it with greetings. When I was designing products, I was going to have a all greetings die set anyway. And so I thought, you know what, I'll just put all of those greetings inside the background die and we'll combine it into one product. So that's what I did. So I'm going to be stamping this background and turning it into a card this morning. And I want your opinion on how I should color it. We've got 3 options. I'm going to put up a poll right here in a moment. We could use the stencils. In fact, before I put the poll up, let's get an opinion here. These were done with the stencils. So I was able to do the blending and everything. Over here, I used more pink shades. This was done with the stencils. Okay. This one right here, sorry, I'm losing my voice. This one over here, I painted with Concord and 9 inks. So I smushed the inks onto a slick surface and picked them up with a brush and then painted it onto my background. So this one was painted. Now I'm going to add a third option, which is alcohol marker coloring. I haven't done that yet with this background, so I thought that could be fun. So I'm going to put this poll up and you guys let me know what you would like to see this morning. Do you want to see the stencils used? All these layering stencils to get all of the images. Do you want to see me use paints or even as inks? Or do you want me to use alcohol markers? I haven't used my alcohol markers in a while, so that could be fun too. So I'm going to keep this up for just a little bit longer here. Let me see what the results are. Looks like stencils are in the lead. We'll keep this up for just a few minutes here. We're almost at 200 people watching. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone who just popped in. Today I'm going to be creating with the Winter Greenery background and either adding in those stencils or I'm going to be painting or coloring. So whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to keep these out because it looks like the stencils might be winning. All right, I'm going to call it Stencils 1. Watercolor wasn't too far behind. I'm going to have to save the alcohol marker coloring for the holiday card series because I really do want to try this with markers. Okay, so one of the things you have to consider when you're going to be using an image like this is what type of ink you're going to be using. And the way you color it will determine what type of ink you use or what ink you don't want to use. So we're going to be adding some ink on here, which will re-wet the paper and also the stamped lines. So we want to make sure that we use an ink that will not smear or smudge when moisture is added. So we want something waterproof, or even something that if it dries completely is smudge resistant. So I think I will probably use one of my favorite inks. I use it all the time. You guys probably could call it out. I'm going to be using Versafine, and I'll use the Versafine Clair. Just had a question from Carrie. What is the holiday card series? The holiday card series is a series of videos that I have shared here on YouTube since 2009. Can you believe that? I think this will technically be the 17th or maybe 16th holiday card series. It's a series of 25 videos where I make a holiday card. And usually, because I will only post them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they start right before Halloween. So come back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you'll see a brand new holiday card video. So as I've done in the past, I plan to do all of my Monday videos as lives. So if you only prefer the edited versions of my videos, you'll want to stop by on Tuesday morning. That's when I will post the edited version of the live from the previous evening. So those holiday card series videos, once again, will be live on Monday, edited version on Tuesday, edited video on Wednesday, edited video on Friday. So it goes all the way up till probably like, a week before Christmas or something like that. Okay, TJ's saying, oh, brilliant. I get so confused about which inks to use for which medium. Yeah, exactly. You have to think about what you're going to be putting on top of your stamped image. Most of the time, if you want just an ink that's like all around a good ink, and you probably won't have to think about it very much, Simus's Stamp Intense Black is great because I think it even says on the back. Let's see, where does it say? Great for use with solvent or alcohol markers, fast drying, and waterproof. So you can use this with inks that you're going to add moisture on top, and you can also use it with your alcohol markers. It works for both. You just have to make sure that this ink is super, super dry before you do anything to it. This is one of those inks that until it's dry, it can still be smeared and smudged and all that. But once it's dry, it's fantastic because it's kind of an all-in-one, all-around good ink. Now, a lot of companies out there, excuse me, a lot of companies out there sell black ink that is called Intense Black. For the most part, that means it's the same type of formulation. So I believe, oh gosh, who else has Intense Black? I'm blanking. I want to say Lawn Fawn maybe does. But there's a few companies that have Intense Black ink. Looking over in the chat again. Oh, Jay watches the holiday card series. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Margot. I love the spelling of your name. Is that how you say it, Margot? Will you do your lives on Monday evening or morning typically? Normally it's in the evening. This is a very unusual time for me. I normally do not go live in the morning. Normally my Monday lives are at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. But if there's a lot of people who prefer morning, maybe we'll switch it up a little bit. It's different. I kind of like it. So we'll see. We'll see. But for now, today's just an anomaly. In the future, I will be going back to Mondays at 6 p.m. I do have some travel coming up, and I will sadly miss 2 Mondays in a row. I'm really sad about that. I'm hoping I can put up some edited videos and maybe have them like premiere and go live at a certain time. So if you guys want to come and see in the chat and say hello to your friends in the chat, you'll be able to do that. Okay. It will start on the 24th. Holiday card series will start on Friday, the 24th of October. Yeah, week before Halloween. Exactly 1 week before Halloween. Hero Arts has an Intense Black. Yes, Hero Art. I think there were like 2 or 3. Honeybee has one. In fact, I really should just look in my drawer here because I have quite a few that are like that. Pink Fresh, they have a version. and they call theirs Detail Black, but it's alcohol marker and watercolor friendly. It's the same. I really think it's like, if it's not the same ink formulation, it's very similar. So that's what it's called. If you look in the descriptions for these different ink types, and they say for alcohol inks and waterproof, that's kind of your like go-to. You can do whatever you want. Now I prefer Versafine when I need waterproof, and that's because I just love how crisp it is. I still have to dry it a little bit, but it's so deep black. I just love it. So that's what I'm going to be using today. Getting out my MISTI. We're going to do some stenciling. So since we're going to be stenciling, yeah, we'll just put it on white. We'll put it on white cardstock. Grabbing some white cardstock here. Oh yeah, 6 p.m. is 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh dear. So the problem with this is that I unfortunately cannot pick a time that will be good for everyone. I can't, this is 5x7. I need 6x6 paper. We're gonna have to cut it. Unfortunately, I can't get a time that works for absolutely everyone because, you know, everyone's all over the world, right? Okay, hold on 1 minute. I've got to go get some paper so I can cut it. What is going on? Why do I not have, hold on. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted just the overhead without me in the corner because I'm going to get up and walk around. Okay, I'm looking for white cardstock. I'm like, where can I find some white cardstock? Okay, I guess I will use some Hammermill 100-pound cardstock. Actually, no, I know I have some Neenah Solar White that is not cut down. Why am I not finding it? All right, I guess I will do Concord. Oh no, I'm determined. I want to find my large sheets of Neenah. I know I have it. It's just taking me a minute to find it. Hold on, y'all. Because I have all this Neenah that's cut down to 5.5, like, you know, half a sheet, but I need it to be 6 inches wide so I can do the entire stencil. Why am I like blanking on where this paper is? Okay, here we go. Found it. All right. And you know what? Just because I'm paranoid, I'm going to cut 2 6x6. Because what if I stamp it weird? You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. We've got our 6x6. Laura's asking about black cardstock. I have a few favorites. I've heard that the Tim Holtz, he has a black that's like super, super black. I have yet to try it. I've also, well, I know for a fact, I really love Hero Art's Pitch Black. That's probably my favorite. I've bought a bunch over the years. All right, put that down. And here is the Winter Greenery background. Trying to not pull it too hard to stretch. Like, take breaks as you pull it off so that it can bounce back. I don't know if that really helps a ton, but I feel like it does. Okay. Put that in right there. And then I'm going to use that Versafine Clair ink, and just to make sure I can see, there we go. Sometimes you can't see if it's on all the sections of the stamp, you know? Now, I don't want any of these really dainty lines on the stamp image to kind of blob out by pressing the stamp too hard. Have you guys done that? Like you press a little too hard and it kind of squishes the soft photopolymer material and it really kind of blooms out those lines and you don't get a really crisp image. So I'm going to just put that down. I don't want to press too hard. I have a press tool here. This is a Stampin' Bug glider. That'll help press it down. I don't want to press too hard though. Okay. And I'll probably have some gaps. Yeah, totally have some gaps. I'm going to come back, press more right there. That filled it in. Press right there. That looks pretty good actually. I don't think I'll even need to stamp it a second time. That looks pretty good. All right. I'll peel this up. And now I'm going to stamp it a second time just because I'm paranoid. I'm live, right? Stephanie's asking, does this mean that I won't be live tonight? Correct. I have a family function tonight and it's being hosted at my house. So, unfortunately, I can't go live tonight. For one thing, I want to be at the family function, but also my craft room is in a loft area of my house. So the rest of the house has to be quiet during my lives. But I'm really hopeful. We've got to get a quote from a contractor. I'm really hopeful that we can close off my craft room. Maybe in the new year. I don't know. We'll see. Where can I buy a stamp positioning tool? The one that I'm using today is a stamping platform. It is a MISTI. And most crafting stores, you know, if they sell a lot of brands, will have a MISTI for sale. So like scrapbook.com sells them, Simon Says Stamp sells them. If you want to buy directly from the company that manufactures and makes a MISTI stamping platform, that company is called My Sweet Petunia. And I think you just go to mysweetpetunia.com and you can buy directly from them. My other favorite stamp positioning tool or stamping platform is the Stamp Wheel 2.0 from Altenew. I also use that one quite a bit. Okay, Versafine can be a little bit hard to get off your stamps. So I like to use a stamp cleaner. This is Simon Says Stamp Ultra Clean. And I actually just spray it onto a baby wipe. Because sometimes it can kind of get everywhere. I spray it on the baby wipe and then it just starts taking all of that ink off really well. The thing you have to remember with this stamp cleaner is that it's really kind of oily and greasy. So after you use it on your stamp, you're probably going to want to go back over it with a baby wipe and kind of clean off some of that greasiness. Also, something you want to be aware of when you use these stamp cleaners like this is that, especially if it's a spray, it can very easily be sprayed onto your project and it will leave grease spots. So, yeah. See, and I'm still probably going to pick up some ink here maybe. Oh, maybe not. Maybe got it all. Pamela says, Mahjong is very big in Dallas. I cannot believe that you could learn in a weekend. It took me months. We have national Mahjong cards, but play a lot with marvelous Mahjong cards. Oh, I haven't heard of those. Well, we played a lot this weekend. We were going to go do some things outdoors, but we got rained out. So we stayed inside, and I think we played in total, I think 17 games. 17 games of Mahjong. I won games 15 and 16. It took me that long to win anything. And they were very patient. Two of us that were playing had been playing for years. So they were very, very patient. It was Kathy and her sister. They were very patient teaching us. Margot is shocked that I'm live this morning. I would need to busy getting ready. It was a very early morning. I barely finished up my Cheerios before going live. I have been looking at so many beautiful, amazing sets of Mahjong tiles. Why can I not figure out where? Okay, here we go. Just beautiful ones. I found a set that an artist made, but I have to wait for her pre-order again. Like her pre-order sold out in July. I'm like, oh, couldn't I have learned how to play this earlier? It was so beautiful. So I'm going to try to get some of those tiles. Kathy Rakusen and I, we've made a pact that we're both on the notification list for when these tiles are for sale again. And we've decided whoever gets the notification first and goes there are just going to buy 2 sets, one for each of us, to try to nab them because they're so beautiful. I already answered your question about buying a stamp positioning tool. I hope you heard that. If not, you can rewind just a little bit. All right, so I've got my 2 backgrounds. And just to be safe, I think I'm going to heat set these a little bit just to make sure they're completely dry. Yours are bamboo backed. Ooh, that sounds pretty. Like actual bamboo, or I saw a set that it looks like it's bamboo. Like there's a design on the back. Is that the one that you have? Either way, I bet it's beautiful. All right, so I'm going to heat set one, and then the other one will have time to dry. So we'll just let that other one off to the side. I'm going to heat set this. It doesn't need to be set with heat. It's just going to speed up the drying. That's all. Actually, I'm just noticing there's not, as you can see, the line right here isn't as solid as over here. So this is probably the one that I stamped first. Let's do that one. Since this is our backup, we'll do this one. Okay. Actual bamboo. Wow. From the 1980s. That's so cool. Okay. I'm grabbing my grip mat. I find it so much easier to stencil with a grip mat. So that's what I'm using here. Okay. Now I'll grab all the stencils. Marilyn says, I can't believe you played 17 games. Well, it was over the course of 3 days. So is that better? 17 games, that's a lot of sitting. Mahjong is a fun and frustrating game. Luck is so important. Yes, I think I just got lucky those 2 rounds in a row. Okay, let's do, well, first let's pick out some ink colors. I really, really loved the colors that I used for this one. Do you guys see how pretty that is? Do we want to just recreate that, or I could change it up a little bit? What if I did the same red colors, but I change up the leaves? Maybe do the leaves in more like teal colors? I think that could be really pretty. Hermes has a Mahjong set tile for 13. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd have to wait to order it. I'd have to wait to save up that cash. That's what I would be doing. Okay, I'm going to grab some inks. I'll use the same reds, and then we'll switch up the greens. And maybe I'll make the berries. I love when the berries are like in like a blue. I think that could be really fun. So I believe I used watermelon, poppy, cranberry, and I want to say I may have even used a little bit of a darker color. I want to say I brought in maybe a little bit of nutmeg actually for the darkest areas. So we'll grab those. Yes, Francis, that is a 5x7 card. For the greens, let's do juniper, rainforest, tide pool. And for the berries, let's do powder and harbor. I think it sounds great. All right. Yeah, so this is going to have a little more tealish colored leaves. All right, let's see here. Chris says she's totally addicted to Mahjong, right? Am I entering my Mahjong era? Flornut, right? I could go on a Disney trip 5 times over for that. Well, maybe not 5 times, maybe like 3. But still, my word. Okay, so we'll do the poinsettias. Oh, I need a yellow for the interior of the poinsettias. Let me grab a yellow for the center. I think I'll do that one in honeycomb today. Actually, I really do like the more muted tones of Stardust. We'll do Stardust. Okay. And then we'll just get to all of the ink blending. Okay. I'm getting all positioned here. Get my blending brushes. I just have like this container of blending brushes that I'll use. All right. So when it comes to the stencil set, you have 2 different stencils for the poinsettias. One will do more of the interior, see that? More of the interior leaves. I guess technically they're not petals, that's actually leaves on a poinsettia. I think someone told me that. And then this will do like the leaves that are on the second layer down, like the under layer. So when I did these before, I started with the first like interior leaves. I started with watermelon instead of going straight to poppy. So I'm going to get these positioned just right. I'm using a grip mat, but I'm probably going to have to use a little bit of tape to hold these down anyway, because you see how there's not much paper? Or I should have cut it a little tinier. That's okay. Not much paper. That's not what I meant. There's not enough stencil overhang to hit the grip mat to hold it in place. So we'll just get this and just tape it in a couple corners, and that should be plenty. All right, so like I said, I'm going to start with watermelon. Oh, Chris. Oh, my Mahjong. Christina Rune C9 has become a line item in my budget. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to start with, actually, I think I'll use a pink blending brush. I've got a little bit of scratch paper here. Because watermelon's kind of a pinky shade, right? It's a little more pink than red. So I'll just get some on my brush. And then I'm going to just start ink blending from the center. You know what? I can zoom in. Let's zoom in a little bit here. There we go. Oh, thank you, Laura. I like to kind of pounce off on the stencil so I don't have so much ink, and then come directly to the center. I'm so sorry you guys can't see exactly what I'm doing right now because my hand's in the way, but I'm basically blending out from that center. I can even pick up that ink that I put there and come back. I want the bulk of the concentration of color to be right there in the center, and then radiate out to the points of the leaves. Seems weird to call them leaves, not petals, but you guys get the drift. All right, we'll come and do that up here too. And The stencil wants to pop up a little bit. You can't see it on camera, but I can see it kind of lifting a little bit. So I'm just kind of holding it down with my fingertips. All right. We want to keep the kind of like the points of the petals. We still want those to be a little bit light. I think what really makes a striking image is a lot of contrast, where you've got a lot of lights and darks. So I want to make sure I keep some of these points light. All right, so that was a watermelon. Before I lift up the stencil, and I lift that off my grip mat, I'm going to come in with Poppy. And now I will switch to a red. And once again, the dark red blending brush, I mean. And remember, I don't want it to go all the way out to the points. I want it to kind of still stay in the center. So I'm only going to do about that much, and then I can come back with my pink blending brush and I can just kind of soften that red line because it was a little stark. We do want that dark concentration of color though right there in the center. All right, so I added that red. I'm going to switch back to my pink blending brush and try to soften that red out a little bit. See how it kind of really softens that? Let me adjust the lighting on my camera. There we go. All right, that's a little bit more true life. Okay, we're not done yet. We're going to add a little bit of a darker color in the right there in the center. Now I'm going to Cranberry. You know what? I can't. I think I like to use my ink stand a little bit more because I can lift up the inks easier. I'm going to stick with my red. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to switch to a smaller blending brush. This is a Shader Zero from Waffle Flower. And I'm just getting a little bit of that darker red so that I can really kind of concentrate only right there in the center. And I can almost like brush it from the center, like in a circular pattern. And that's really going to concentrate that dark shade right in the center. Okay. Do you see there's like a subtle difference between these two? This one's just not as, like, this one looks like a solid color over here. I kind of feel like I get a different gradation of color. Like you could have like a really dark, intense shade and it really fades out. So let's do that up here. I'm just going to do it from like a brushing motion, like I'm starting the flick right on top of those center berries, or not berries, but you know them, the center of the poinsettia, and then flicking away out toward the outer rim of the shape of the poinsettia. This is just getting a really nice concentration of color right in the center. Okay. We're done with this stencil, so I'm going to go ahead and lift it up. Got a little bit into the berries over here. Got a little ink pooling. Not a huge deal. Once I add the yellow over the center, so that'll help a little bit. I like to clean my stencils off with a little spritz of rubbing alcohol. Just spritz on that stencil, and then I use a microfiber cloth and just wipe everything off. It cleans the stencils really fast. I'll wipe it down And then I'll flip the stencil over and clean the back as well, just with whatever's on the cloth. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the second part of all of the leaves. Got a little ink right there. I feel like I want to go like that and just sop it up if there's any. Okay, so now we're going to get this positioned right over those poinsettias. And I'll use those same pieces of tape again, just to hold those down. I just dropped the ink on the card. I don't know what you're referring to. Okay. So these bottom leaves, except for this one right here, like these right in the center, they're not quite, you know, underneath. They're not the leaves that are underneath. But I'm going to skip watermelon. I'm going to go straight into poppy. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I want the color to kind of fade as it comes out to the outer area. But I don't want it as light as I did on that first layer. And it gets a little bit tricky because you've got the two poinsettias overlapping here, but it's not too bad. Mostly just getting color down on this right now. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with Cranberry. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the previous stencil with poppy. I'm just going to like bring it in right in the center areas like that on each one of these and really concentrate it. I feel like my stencil keeps moving. I'm trying to hold it down. We really want to see more color coming from the center. Okay, adding a little more over here. And then we're not done with this this stencil either. We're going to add an even darker shade. Okay. Now you're going to think I'm a little crazy coming in with Nutmeg. And I'm going to switch to another small brush. This just happens to be the Altenew micro blending brush. I've used it with browns before, so that's why I'm using it here. And can add just a little brown in that same way, just like flicking in from the edge of the stencil to try to get a little bit of a darker shading just in that area. To see how that darkened up just that one leaf? That's what we want. And I'm trying to remember, I think when I did my initial cards, I actually used a Post-it. Let me see if I can grab a Post-it here to mask off some of these leaf areas so that I could get a little bit of a, see how there's these two leaves right here? I want it to look like this leaf right here is underneath the other. So I'm going to put my little Post-it right there, and I can come in off that edge. And then that accentuates that it's underneath that leaf. I'm going to do the same right here. And then you get a little bit of that shaded look. Does that make sense? Catherine's asking about the OCC class. It's actually, you don't have to wait long. We're going to be sharing info and registration, all that on Friday. So watch out for that. I think Jennifer and I will be going live on Friday sometime to talk more about the class as well. All right, I want to cover up that little leaf right there. So as I come in, I can get that. And I can also do this edge. We might even have to go in and add a little bit of this nutmeg shade with the first stencil if this is looking a little too dark in comparison. We'll find out here in a minute. Add that right there just to get a little, get that edge showing. And right here as well. There we go. See how that like just darkened it up or whatever? Okay, I'm gonna peel up this stencil. There we go. Now you can see the different layers. I think I do want to add a little bit of that nutmeg on the first stencil that we used, just because there's quite a difference between those two. I mean, I don't mind it, but also I want to make them look a little bit more cohesive. So I'm going to go back to that first stencil. I'm going to feel like there's some really wet spots happening right here. I was getting a little happy with the ink. Here we go. And I'll just hold it with my fingers. I don't need to tape it down this time because there we go. Just a little bit of this nutmeg right in the center will just darken it up. This is what's really going to make these colors look rich. Give it lots more depth. This is similar to what I do when I'm coloring with my alcohol markers and I'm coloring reds. In order to, like, you don't want to just keep getting a darker and darker and darker red. Instead, add a brown. Okay, there we go. I'm going to lift that up. And now it looks all finished. Very dramatic. Okay. Cleaning off that stencil. Let's go ahead and do the berry layer. I'm afraid I got a lot of my red colors seeping into the center area, but I'm hoping it won't be too bad once we get the yellow on top. Okay. I'll just hold that in place for a moment. Going in with Stardust, and I'll use my yellow blending tool, and I'll just do that right over the center. You can still see a lot of that bleeding in, but whatever, not that big of a deal. Okay, so for the berries on these leaves, I thought I'd do something non-traditional, and we're gonna make them blue. Why not, right? And I'll just hold those down. I'm gonna start with powder, and then we'll come in with a little bit of harbor. So with my light blue blending brush, I'll just really quickly add powder. All right. Probably could just leave it at that, but I'm going to come in with harbor, just a little bit of a darker blue. And let's see, do I have a small blending brush I can use for this? I don't have one that's already blue, so I'll start a new one. And I'm just going to kind of blend, like kind of flick up from the bottom like I did, you know, with the nutmeg color. Just kind of flicking up from the bottom. I'm starting on the stencil and then flicking into the dot, into the circle area. And that is going to keep the most concentration of color right there at that bottom edge. I don't know if this detail is really going to show very much once the ink's dry, but if it does, I think it could be really nice. I think it's worth the extra effort just in case, and it doesn't take very long. Just gives a little bit of a shadow to the bottom of the berries. I think if you wanted it to be even more dramatic, you could use a darker blue for this particular step. I'm tempted to go grab a darker blue. Okay, so now we have all those berries. How do I store all the Clair stamps? There's a lot of companies out there who sell stamp storage pockets, or you can just store them in the same packaging that they come in. The smell brush that I'm using on the berries is the Waffle Flower Shader Zero. Sorry if that's not focusing. There we go. Shader Zero from Waffle Flower. All right, let's do some leaves. And we're doing more teal leaf colors, I believe. So here's the first one. We'll just get that centered on there just right. I'm tempted to just hold it and not tape it. But that's okay, we'll tape it just to be safe. All right, so we have 3 colors to use on the leaves. We've got Tide Pool, Juniper, and Rainforest. I think I'll do what I did on the poinsettias, and like one stencil will have the lighter version of the leaves, and then the other stencil will have the darker version of the leaves. So let's do the lighter version on this one. Let's start with Tide Pool. Best kind of brush for this flicking technique? Yeah, I would say just short bristles is probably best. All right, coming in with kind of a blue blender. And I'll just, I think the blueberries with like these kind of blue, teal, aqua leaves, I think it's gonna be really pretty. I'm mostly just getting color down at this point. I'm not worrying about, you know, like fading out or anything at the moment. The next step when I start adding additional color will be when I want to start worrying about, you know, making sure there's some light and dark areas and things like that. Okay, just put down a layer of color. I'm gonna come over with Juniper. And for this one, I'm going to grab like the lighter or the darker kind of aqua greenish color for my blending brush. And this time I'm going to try to concentrate the color at the center of where the stem is. Like I want it to have the darkest toward the stem. There we go. Do you see that? How it's concentrating the color down here and it kind of fades up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. This leaf is behind the poinsettia, so it can be pretty dark. But I really just want the color to concentrate at the base of each leaf, nearest the stem. Margot, I'm so glad you were able to come this morning. That's awesome. Now that I know there's a bit of it, you know, there are quite a few of you who would prefer mornings, maybe I'll do some more morning lives. Okay, concentrating down here. Okay. Just because I can anticipate that I'll want to do it, I'm going to add a little bit of rainforest using that same really small flicking technique. Looks like I have a small green brush. This is another one of those Waffle Flower Shader 0 plus, it looks like. So I'm just going to, just right from the very center, I'm like flicking, you know, starting off the stencil and coming in like that. There we go. I'll do the same for this one. It just adds a little bit of a intensity right at that base of the flower. Did I say base of the flower? Base of the leaf. Okay. I'm gonna wipe this stencil down before I remove it. And then, there we go. I got some of the blue from the berries kind of bleeding underneath right there. Interesting. Okay. All right, spritz this with my alcohol, my rubbing alcohol. Clean off that layer. Stencil. We've got one more stencil to go. And then we'll do just a little bit of cleanup, probably with a white gel pen, just, you know, right around here. I don't think we can really do much up here where that berry kind of bled into it. But I could ink blend the berries over here, cut them out and put them on top, and you would never know. Let's do that. I'll show you a quick fix. It'll be easy. Okay. I will show you that fix here in a moment after we're done here. All right. Looks like I might need to shift my stencil a little bit as I'm ink blending so I can get these centered perfectly. Okay, we're going to start with Juniper this time. It's the medium green shade. And because we want these leaves, they're just going to go ahead and start off pretty dark and intense from the beginning. Yeah, this is pretty dark to start with. But then we'll bring in some of that rainforest and darken it up. Okay, I'm going to do those two up there and then move down here. I just have to shift the stencil. So for now, I'll just finish these leaves here at the top. Gold pigment ink, or I could even use, I could just do a gold watercolor. That would work too. All right, I'm going to come in with rainforest. I think I'll just use that same small little brush that I was using before and just flick that up into the leaf. Fortunately, there's a lot of little leaves here, so it takes a little bit longer, but I think it'll be worth the trouble. All right, we'll get the intense rainforest color at the base of these leaves. Okay. I'm going to lift this stencil and I'm just going to shift it so that I can get these bottom ones a little bit positioned just a little bit better. It's a big stamp and it can warp when you peel it off the backer, you know. I just want to get this a little bit better. There we go. All right, going back to Juniper. Joanna, I'm not sure. I don't know if Stampin' Up! Had the same scissors. Years ago, they used to sell just a black version of these scissors, which are from EK Success. For fussy cutting, I really like these. They're the Honeybee scissors from EK Success. I also like these from Spellbinders. They're super, super sharp for fussy cutting. These ones from Spellbinders are really nice too. Connie's asking if I enjoy watercoloring or ink blending more. Both, for different reasons, I guess. I don't know that I can say one more than the other. Because of like stenciling, I've been loving ink blending a lot recently. Go through phases, you know. All right, so this is just Juniper. All right, and then we'll switch to Rainforest and we'll darken those up a little bit. Oh, Nicola, I'm glad you made it. Still lots of fun to come when we are going to finish up this card, so no worries at all. All right, I'm just using that kind of brush flick technique to get this color coming in on these areas. Getting this added here. And then I think I'm going to ink blend the centers of the poinsettias on my backup stamped background. And we'll fussy cut those out and glue them on top, and hopefully you won't be able to tell that there was a mistake. Okay, here we go. Oh, just kidding. Before I remove that, I'm just gonna, there we go. That just gets a little of the ink off. Oh, that's pretty. I like the kind of more tealish leaves. Gives it a different look. All right, just spritz that with alcohol. Cleaning off my stencil. And now let's stencil the backup one, just for those centers, because that, it doesn't bother me as much up here, but right here where there's those like two spots right in a row, it really bothers me, so I'm just going to fix it. Okay, so Sylvia, am I going to design a snowflake named Kevin and Fred? No, I only did girl names, and now I'm not really releasing just individual snowflake dies. It's more like die sets, you know, like I like to keep them together. Okay, here we go. Let's get this, and then I can just cut them out. And I'll take that yellow. I'm glad I have a backup stamping that I could do that. All right, I'm gonna put some ink blending brushes away really quick so I can get them off my table here. Let's see, that was green, that was blue. Okay. Lift this up. And I hate to have to cut all this apart, but This is why we had a backup, right? In case we needed it. And we did. Okay. So I'm just fussy cutting around these. Thankfully, they're kind of all together in a group. That makes it easy. And before I glue it onto the actual piece, I'm going to take a black marker, and this is when I like to, let's see, what is this? I have to find a black brush tip marker. And of course, all of mine are hiding. Where are you? I think this will work. Yeah, this will work. This is just a black brush tip marker. What I'm doing is I'm just painting the white edges of the cardstock. And this is going to help hide the fact that this is just glued on top. Because if you glue it on top, sometimes, you know, depending on the angle that you're looking at the background with, you'll be able to see the white edge of the cardstock that's glued on top. And this is going to make it look seamless. I'll just go right on top and won't be able to tell. Let's zoom in. We're doing very detailed work right now. You might as well zoom in so we can see what we're doing. See how like that hides it? Like you can hardly tell. Like I can just go just like that. So now I'm cutting out this one, and we'll place it right on top. You can use any black brush tip marker or even just a black bullet point to color the edges of your cardstock for that little hack. I find that a brush tip marker works a little bit better because you can just sort of press the cardstock into the mid area of the brush. You don't have to use the tip. I'll show you here in a minute. So if you have like a Tombow marker, like their dual brush pen marker, I have a black version, that would work with that too. Okay, so now we have this, and I just have this old brush tip marker. So what I'm doing is I'm like using the edge of the marker and painting the white core. You can see it really well right here. It makes it black. Just like that. I do this same trick when I fussy cut images that I've colored with my Copics. It kind of hides any cutting imperfections, and it works really well. Okay, there we go. So now we can do just a little of this, and it'll go right over the top. Ta-da! And then it looks perfect. It also helps if you have a way to get glue from edge to edge on the corrected part. So like if you have like a, oh, I can just show you. Like if you have a Xyron Create a sticker or a little X, whatever they're called. Let me find mine. One of these little machines. Do you guys remember these? You might have one in your stash if you've been crafting for a while. It's just this little thing that you can put smaller pieces of cardstock through, and it turns them into stickers. So what you do is you put this down right there, and then I can start to pull from this, and it pulls it through and it turns it into a sticker. It puts adhesive all on the back. So I'll put that one in. Then I can tear it off. And then you like really burnish it with your fingers. Get those edges really well. In fact, you can even go around it with like something sharp, like I'm using a little craft pick right now. And that'll make sure that it doesn't have any adhesive sticking off the edges. Okay. And then you peel up this. And this is like all super sticky. And then you're left with just the little stickers you've made. So you can peel it off with the tweezers. Get it positioned just right. Press that down. And then I'll do the same over here. Notice how it's not cut out perfect. But once we have it on the background, it will look more perfect just because it'll already be down there. Okay. All right. So now when you look at it, you can barely tell it's another piece of cardstock because I painted that edge with my black marker. So there you go. That's a quick fix for you. All right, let's turn this into a card. I'm thinking maybe let's just use dies from the coordinating die set. We'll just cut out a greeting and put it right on top. It'll be nice, quick, and easy. Ver Blue, break out that Xyron X. You might need it for stuff like this. Okay, so here are all the dies that come in the coordinating set. We could die cut the big background as well. Maybe put that on a background. I think that could look really nice. Kind of similar to this card where I had like a background to it. I think that could look really nice. Maybe even like a oh, I have a new embossing folder from Altenew that might be a really cool background. Let's go ahead and die cut this, and then also I'm kind of thinking maybe the warm wishes, and we'll have that cut out of white and gold. Maybe we'll see. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Do some die cutting. So I've got my background here, and then I have my background die. Now this die can be a little flimsy, so you're going to want to tape it down and really get it in the right position. Once it's in the right position, it'll work great. You just have to take some time to really get it positioned on your background. And because it is such a large die, it might want to shift when you put it through your die cutting machine. So that's why I'm going to tape it in multiple spots. I'm going to have to run downstairs and crack open my Altenew order that came while I was away. All right, so I'm just taping this in a couple of spots. I think I'll also tape it down here. I'll run that through my die cutting machine. Actually, I'm gonna kind of tilt it because it does have this straight edge, and I think it'll cut a little better that way. Well, I'm hoping anyway. Okay. Okay. Oh, good. Nothing really moved. We love that. And we also have to fix that one little berry bleed down here. Remember that down there? That little bleed? But look how pretty that is. I love that. All right, let's get the tape off the die. And I can down again. And then I need a little bit of gold. Oh, this is convenient. I have gold right sitting here from when I was cutting out other things. Okay, so we can do just a little bit. Let's see, can I get that to fit over here? I'm just trying to get a good spot to preserve as much gold as possible. I think that's the one. And then I have a little bit of white scratch paper over here too that I can use. I love when I can just use scraps. All right. Cut those out. I can never resist adding gold to Christmas cards. I think it's just so great. Okay. I love that. I love how that look comes out. We'll just glue that together and then it can go on there. Warm wishes. We love that. Okay, I'm going to slide this off to the side so I can put my die back on. Oh, I've got stuff in the die. I hate that. And then I don't see it when I go to use it. Okay. There we go. Oh, my dies just popped right off my backer card when I went to put it in. There we go. All right. The only thing I'm missing from this is the stamp. Where'd the stamp end up? I don't know. It's like did I put the stencil on top of the stamp? I totally did. Look at that. I put it away wrong. There we go. I was starting to get worried. Okay, I have to run downstairs and grab this Altenew background that I think would look really cool embossed. So I will be right back. That's what we have so far. Because I really want to try this embossing folder, but I have to go get it. I'll be right back. I have my microphone on so you guys will hear me go down and say hello to the kitties. They're not at the bottom of the stairs. Kevin, Fred, where are you? Oh, they're on the couch. They're snoozing. Hi, buddies. Okay. Let's open up this package. I ordered a bunch of Altenew cardstock as well. So it's all in the same box. All right, let's see here. Oh, good. This is right on top. Ooh, that would be pretty too. Oh, yeah. I think this is going to look great. Okay. I'll have to come back for the rest of my cardstock order. The one I was thinking might look cool might be almost too busy, but there's another option. Okay, let's see here. And I think it was Tracy in the chat that suspected that she knew which embossing folder I was going to use. So these are the two embossing folders that I bought. There's a Cozy Sweater or Blooming Doily Charm. And I was thinking the Cozy Sweater might be kind of cool, right? It's a 3D embossing folder. Let's see here. Because like with that texture, I think the texture might be a bit much. What do we think? I'm not really sure. It's a, I mean, there's already a lot going on, right? So maybe not. Let's go ahead and do it. I was thinking of just doing it on white anyway. So maybe let's go ahead and emboss it and then see what it looks like. In fact, I might even emboss it on watercolor paper, just because it would give the most plush embossing. I mean, I know it seems like weird to sacrifice your watercolor paper for something with no color, but I think it could be really interesting. Okay, I'm kind of thinking like the thickness of this is probably the thickness of one of my plates in my Empress. That looks about the same. So I bet I could just replace one of the plates. Or maybe my magnetic mat. No, we'll do the plates first. All right, so I'm going to use my spray bottle and spritz the watercolor paper. That'll soften it. And I'll put that in there. Actually, we'll do it this way. Okay. And then I'll just, I want the magnetic mat, not the plate. We'll do this. We'll go like that, and I'll just put it through, and I hope it works. Okay, did that work? Oh my gosh, it did. Stop it. Are you kidding me? What in the... That is so detailed. Look at that. It looks like a white sweater. Oh my gosh. Is it sold out over Altenew? If it's not, I need to add a link in the chat really fast, or put it on my link deli or something. Let me see. Oh, it is out of stock. Dang it. It is out of stock. But that's really cool. Okay, so if that's on top, oh, I kind of like it. But it doesn't really show much. I guess I could make it a 5x7 card. The embossing folder is not, like, I want the card to be big like that, but I should have done it this direction. All right. We're going to use more watercolor paper. Actually, no, I'll try regular cardstock. Let's see how it looks. Okay, and this is a 5x7, so like I've got to decide, how do I want this on the card? Do I want it like that? I could have it coming down off the corner. Oh, that would be nice, because it kind of hides where the pattern would stop down here. Oh, I know what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to make it look like this embossing folder went the full 5x7. We're going to do it. Okay, I'm not spraying with alcohol. I almost sprayed my cardstock with alcohol. That's not going to work. Okay. So we're going to put it in. I'm going to try to line it up right on the edge here, because I really need it to be precise as I do this. All right, let's run that through. Oh my word. It's just so cool. It's so cool. And then that can go like down there, and you can see the texture up there. Oh, that's so neat. Okay, so now we're going to do it again. There happens to be one part of my poinsettia design that spans the entire 5-inch width. And we will just cut our background at that part. And then it can connect seamlessly behind. And we won't even be able to tell that it's not a complete background. Okay. Oh, that worked great. So like it can continue like that, almost like that, but it'll be like in a different spot. We'll just have to figure out what that spot is. Okay. All right, so now on the 5x7 card base. Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to dry these because they're still a little damp. Let's dry them. Okay, there we go. Yes, it's called Cozy Sweater by Altenew. Unfortunately, it's sold out at Altenew, but you might be able to find it at other stores, like maybe Simon Says Stamp or I don't know. I think scrapbook.com carries Altenew products. Sorry, my throat is doing something funny. Okay, so we're now going to adhere the sweater background to a card front. And then, well, let's figure out where, because that's going to go on the front. This is going to go down here in the bottom corner. But see where this goes all the way off the edge? In fact, I might even bring it in a little bit so it's perfectly. But I just needed to clock where the background needs to be cut. So it's going to be cut about right here. Okay. So now I'll just go cut that. Use my paper trimmers over here. And then I can add this other one right below it, and it'll just continue the pattern. And we won't be able to tell that it wasn't fully there. You just noticed I got a little water droplet or something right there. Does it make sense to have the grading there? Probably not, but we'll figure it out. Okay, to adhere this down, I'm thinking I'm going to use this Altenew Ultra Sticky Wide Tape. Is that what it's called? It's either Ultra Sticky or Ultra Wide. I think it's Ultra Sticky, and it's their 1-inch tape. And I like to use it just for like coating. Oh my gosh, come on. There we go. Coating like stuff that's going to warp or like not really want to stick. You know, so like this sweater texture is going to be great. Okay. all the way around. I didn't cut it short enough. There we go. Sorry, I'm having some issues with this little spot. There we go. Why was the emboss card heated? Because I spritzed it with a little bit of water just to soften it so it would emboss better, and it wasn't fully dry. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll restock the embossing folder. I don't see why they wouldn't. We're not even to the the main part of holiday card making season, and it's kind of a really holiday card type of product, I think. All right, so I'll just remove these. All the way around. Makes it super, super sticky. All right, card is opening this way. That's what we want. And then, let's see, this was the edge that I cut. Okay, just get that down on the corner. Lovely. And now I can take the other one and just add that on. It's not really a continuous pattern, but you won't be able to tell once it's on the card. And then I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife and chop this off. I'm just going to grab a cutting mat because I don't want to ruin my glass mat. Sometimes cutting utensils, like knives and whatever, will cut into the glass. Sometimes I've been able to get away without it leaving any marks, but other times I've left scratches. So I'm just going to prevent it from the start and use that. Okay, so now we have our full 5x7 background. And we can take this and we can put that right over the top. And then we even have a little of that peeking out at the bottom and through this little spot right here because the seam is right there. Okay, I think I want to have it even come in a little bit so we get a little bit more of that texture down the side. But I need to make sure I don't come over too far because it'll show the seam. So it'll be right there. I'm going to go ahead and just put some foam adhesive on the back. And let's see, where's my roll of foam tape? All right. I'm not entirely sure how far over was this going. Okay, maybe I should cut it first before I start putting some foam on. It's going to be right there. So like that much is getting cut off. Not a whole lot actually. Okay. All right. I haven't adhered it, but I want to get this cut before I do so I know where to put the foam tape. Very lightly cutting. I'm on my glass mat, so I don't want to cut too far. Just really lightly. And it'll eventually cut through. Okay, did I get it? Oh, I'm very close. What about up there? There we go. Okay. So that's exactly where it's going to be added onto the card. So now I can do my foam tape in the right spot. We'll get these scissors over here. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the foam adhesive here. I think I'll just do this. And then I can come in with some skinnier strips if I need to really get in on the leaves. Okay. Okay. And then, since I need to just add some little spots, I think these 2mm squares, like little mini squares from scrapbook.com, I think those will work. I think that's about the right thickness. Yeah, that's about the right thickness. I can just come in and put these on the spots that need them. So it'll hold up in the mail. Let's see, just a couple more little spots. I think I'll do it. Okay. It's going to be like a really big card that has a lot going on, and then a little itty bitty greeting, which I don't think I've actually glued together yet, so we'll still have to do that. Getting all the backers off the little squares, and then come in and get the foam tape. And then we'll get this on here. Okay. Kind of getting that bottom edge. There we go. All right, so we've got that on there. That would be really pretty as like a horizontal card too, right? Now I'm second guessing myself. Do I want it to be a horizontal card? Like a landscape? Let's glue the warm wishes quickly, and then I'm kind of digging it like that now. We'll glue this down and then get this moving. A couple little dobs of glue. All right. Use my scratch paper just to dab off some of that. And then I'm like trying to move it, but it's already very adhered. Okay, well, I guess that's where it's at. Okay. Let's zoom in here on the card a little bit, and we'll decide where we want the grading. Okay, So originally the card was going to be like this, and I was thinking putting like the greeting like right there. In fact, it kind of would almost cover up that spot, Could be like right there, right? Zoom out a little bit. Okay, it would be right there. But I'm liking the idea of having it like this, and maybe even it's just like worm wishes down here. Or I guess I could still put it up here, or maybe it's right here coming in off the flowers or the leaves. Right there looks nice. I really like it as landscape. I think right there. That's where it feels nice to me, even if it's covering up this leaf a little bit. Like right there. And I like the warm wishes with the sweater. You know, like I'm probably overthinking it, but I love that idea. Okay. I'll put a little bit of some narrow foam tape down here at the bottom because the top's going to be glued to that leaf. So it's going to be like kind of hanging out up there. So it'll be about right there. So remove the backers on that. And I'll put glue up here at the top where it's going to stick to the leaf. And then right there. I love that. Love it. All I see is that little blip up there. I keep looking at it, but that's okay. Like, I think you could almost take a little bit of like some gold splatter and splatter it all over. I'm very tempted. Do we want gold splatter or are we done? We might be done. I mean, look at that texture. I feel like I need to like shade it so you can really see all of it. That's right. I needed to do the white gel pen on that one little spot, which unfortunately was not the spot that was cut off. Let me find a white gel pen. I might not have a white gel pen right here. I don't know. Do I? I packed up my white gel pen and I had it somewhere else, and I don't know that it has made its way back to my craft room yet. But I do have this acrylic white pen. That's way too big of a pen. I can't use that. What am I using? How could I have no white gel pens? I have 5 million white gel pens here in my house. Found one. I'm like, I swear. I'm like, didn't I have like a cute little cat pen thing and it had a bunch of stuff in it? Sure did. Time to get a new gel pen, I guess. Okay, here we go. This little spot right here. Let's test the gel pen to make sure it's good. And then come in and just get that blue. I think it kind of hides it. People are saying yes to the gold splatter. Let's try it. I think it would hide the little blip right there. So let's do it. All right, here's my Christmas paints from Yuli watercolor. And the color I really love to use is this one. It's Star. That's my favorite gold. I think it kind of matches the matte gold cardstock that I've been using for die cutting. So we're gonna set her across while we get this ready, because I don't want any more water droplets. that are not intentional. All right. Putting a drop of water on that because we're going to need it. And then I'm looking if I have an acrylic block out that I can do my splatter from. Hold on, my drawers are like not closing. What is happening? And I need to close the drawers so I can get to my stuff in the bottom drawers. Come on, what is happening? It's like not opening all the way either. It's like caught on something. What in the world? Oh, it's like foam strips. Okay, there we go. We need an acrylic block. That one will work. That's okay. We need a time for that to soak in anyway. I'm going to grab a size 4 brush. I need to get more of this. Kind of mixing in. You want to give it a minute because right now it's not very opaque. You want to wait till you can tell it's almost the consistency of heavy whipping cream. It needs to be creamy. Yeah, we're getting there. It's close. I just use tap water for all of this, Amrita. I'm not getting all fancy with distilled water or anything. I'm just tap water. Okay. Now let's bring the card over. I think it would be advantageous of us to cover the greeting just while we do the splatter. We'll just bloop, cover that up. And then my acrylic block is right here. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take a moment and we will do this. Because let's save my work surface too, right? And all my ink pads that are over here. Cut that a little smaller. Okay. The way I like to do splatter is I put it on the edge of an acrylic block. I feel like I have a little more control that way, or a lot more control actually, over where the splatter goes. Okay. So we can just do a little I mean, I don't want to go out of control, but I do want to make sure I get a little bit in most areas. I'm glad I put that there because some of it is on the greeting. All right, now I'm going to add a little more water to this. Get a little more fluid. When it's more fluid, I feel like you can get more fine little splatters. That's quite a bit more fluid. And also switching to a smaller brush sometimes helps if you want like smaller little spritzes. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. This is a size 2 brush. Yeah, now I'm getting some finer little spritzes. All right, I'm going to call it at that. I don't want to overwhelm it. Let me clean off these brushes really quick. I didn't have a cup of water because I just used my eyedropper. brushes out to dry. I only got a little bit of paint splatter on my work surface here. Let's take the, there we go. Saved the grading. And then we have that gold splatter. I like the gold splatter. I only got a little bit on my glass mat right here. That'll come up with just some water. And I did hit the white spot right in the center. That's hilarious. You know what? The watercolors are pricey, but you know what? The ones that I use all the time, I'm going to tell you right now. Star, Apple, and Silver. Those are the ones that I use all the time. So if you are in the market for just some like really pretty shimmery paints and you just want them for like holiday cards and maybe some like a little bit of shimmer throughout the year, those are the three that I would recommend. These other ones are really nice to have, and I have used them over the years. You can tell like some of them are really gone down a little bit. But for the most, I use red, gold, and silver all the time. Those are my favorite. All right. Let me put myself back up in the top corner. Hello. So here is the card for today. I think that turned out really pretty. I love all the gold splatter. I like the sweater texture. I had no idea where I was going with this card today, but I really like how that turned out. You can't even tell that I had a mistake. Those of you who came in late, did you know that I redid the centers of the poinsettias and glued the cut centers back on? You'd never know. You'd never know. There you go. All right, Yuli is IU, oh my gosh, IUILE. Yes, I got it. I always type it, and I'm not typing it threw me off. Okay, I'll update the supply section here in a moment when we're not live anymore, but thank you all for joining me today for some card making. And I hope to be back very soon. Got a busy week. The online card classes holiday class is being announced on Friday, so watch for that. Jennifer and I will probably go live on Friday to talk about it. So if you have questions about the class. And then right after that, I will start sharing my sneak peeks for my October release. More holiday products coming out in October. I hope you guys are excited. And thank you so much for joining me today. We did, just under 2 hours of crafting. It's a lot of fun. A good way to start the day. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in another video very soon.